morning, class. This is another episode. Actually, this is the first episode of Historical Conquest, the History Guide. That's right. We're going to guide you through all different things history, and we're going to have some fun doing it. Now, as you know, or those that don't know, Historical Conquest is a history game. It's like, think of it this way. You take Pokemon or Magic the Gathering, card games like that. You mix it with the gameplay of Risk. So you're playing the game like the game of Risk, the board game, where you're trying to take over the world, but where every card in the game is historically based. How fun is that? That's what Historical Conquest is. So a mixture of history and fun. Not too much history, that becomes boring, and so much fun. So we merge these together, and this is actually part of the curriculum. So in this curriculum, yes, the podcast that you're listening to is part of a curriculum. We're going to walk you through everything American history and everything ancient history. Now, there's two different episodes that are going to be happening at the same time in this podcast. So you have to be careful. I'm going to teach you how to go through it and not have to be worried about the other stuff that's going to be going on. But either way, whichever way you start, we're both starting in American history. Ancient American history. Now, the distinguishing factor is this is going to be covering North America, South America, and Central America. And why they're both starting there is because this is where basically everyone that's in the United States is going to be learning ancient history, whether it's ancient civilizations, which there are plenty in South America, and North America, and Central America, or you're going to be learning about ancient civilizations in Africa, Europe, Asia, and such. So we are going to give you a head start by starting you off in the Americas. So either way, whether you're doing American history or you're doing ancient civilizations, you're both going to be starting at the same place. And we did that for this specific reason. We want you guys to all come together, and then we will break you into two different classes. So when you're going through, you're going to be able to know when to listen to the podcast for ancient American history, and you're going to be learning things about ancient civilizations. American history and ancient civilizations. See, even I'm having an issue with it. So we don't want to confuse you, but we're not going to make two different podcasts to promote this. And we're doing both curriculums at the same time. So we're going to bring you through this class. Hopefully it's not a struggle with you, but we're going to have different days for each of these. So on Mondays and Wednesdays, you're going to come in for American history. Tuesdays and Thursdays, you're going to come for ancient civilizations. But here's the really cool thing. We're not just going to be doing this from this setting, from my office. No, we're doing this from Machu Picchu. We're going to be traveling to different countries to do this. And we're going to be meeting up with some experts from that area to do this. So they're going to be giving you an example of this. They're going to walk you through basically a guided tour into some of these places so you can actually see some of these. Now, my trip to Machu Picchu doesn't happen until next spring. So we're going to be far into American history, but then we're going to bring you back a little bit into learning about Machu Picchu because I'm actually going to be there. I'm going to be able to show you Machu Picchu and some of these other places in ancient American history or even modern American history. So I can travel to some of these places, and we have other people that will travel to these places and walk you through some of these monuments, some of these parks, some of these amazing places that you would never be to except on this adventure. So this is why we love doing what we're doing. Now, as part of the curriculum, it's not just a podcast. We actually have a physical book. Now, we don't actually have it in hand. It's supposed to come in the next day or two, by the 8th. So we're waiting for that. We're really excited about it. So by the time you're listening to this, we'll already have that book. But this is so exciting because this is our first curriculum book. This is actually 4 years in the making. When COVID started, we actually hired on a curriculum crew, and they started putting together a curriculum. We weren't able to use that curriculum because we found out a lot of the public school teachers did not want a curriculum because they were making them themselves. Now, they weren't trained to do this history. They didn't have regular textbooks, or they were going to mix that in there. We actually have historians. We have the actual places we're going to bring you through. We're going to bring you through all this. So it's really exciting. Now, I want to go a little bit back. Why am I doing this, and why did I start up historical conquest? Now, if you know my story, you know that I left high school hating history. I hated it because of how it was taught. It wasn't that I hated history per se, I hated how it was taught. Books, lectures, they work for some, but not for most. Most people want to make it engaging. They want to be part of it. Teachers that really make a difference are people that are able to tell stories or do activities that are amazing. Now, all this stuff is actually found in the curriculum. We have stories. We have the curriculum, which you can read, but we also have activities. We have coloring pages, not just kid coloring pages, adult-like coloring pages as well. So anybody can use this. We have games, such as our expansion pack. So every month, when you receive one of these books, you will actually receive, sorry about that, 1 second. Okay, I gotta clear my voice for something went into it. Okay, but you will receive also an expansion pack based on the topic of that month. So the first box you'll actually get the ancient American history. It covers North America, South America, and Central America. And the reason why this is so important is because as you're playing historical conquest with those cards, you're going to get to know them a lot better. And as you hear them in curriculum, you're like, oh, I need to know that person, or I remember that person. And that the flood of memories will come, and it's going to be amazing. You will retain more information by doing this curriculum than any other curriculum out there. I nearly guarantee it. Depending on the student, I cannot guarantee every time, but nearly guarantee it because you're going to be engaged. It has activities, it has coloring pages, it has a ton of different things. It has even cross-curricular experiments and projects. So say you're doing science. If you're doing biology, physics, okay, those are normal ones. Maybe chemistry, those are normal ones, and those are in the cross-curricular. But what about astronomy? What about earth health, environmental health? How about your health? That's right. So all these different things will give you experiments into, or projects into, how to use what you're learning in history in your science, but also your math and your English. So you can do all different things with this. So by doing this, you're actually retaining more information than anyone else out there. You're going to know history better than some school teachers. You're going to know history better than some historians. Most historians focus on one thing. We're going to bring you out to all these different things. You're going to be so excited. And I tell you what, this is going to be exciting because we're going to go through this adventure together. Now, one great thing, okay, again, let's go back to the history. Left high school, hating history. Okay, it's the same story for a lot of people because of how it was taught. The thing is, I actually wanted to be in history. I wanted to be an archaeologist. I wanted to go out and go do archaeological digs in the middle of nowhere and dig up amazing things, new civilizations, objects that no one had ever seen or haven't seen before for 1,000 years, 2,000 years. I was so excited to do this. Now, when I left high school, it almost diminished that desire. Then, when I went into college, it flourished again. Not the archaeology part, but the history part. Why? Because of historical conquest. So I created a game that would help youth become excited for history. And so that's what this is all about. So in the following episodes, you'll actually be able to see exactly the experiences that I've had in history, but also the experiences that others had in history. Others will have, like others with careers in history. We get archaeologists on here, scientists on here, but we also get historians on here. We have so many people to choose from, and we're going to be bringing them in at different times depending on what we're talking about. Ancient American history has been my forte. I was so excited about it because if you're watching the video on YouTube, you'll see this. I was excited for the people. Now, these are actual cards that are part of your expansion pack that you're going to be getting. But I was excited about the people, some of the leaders, some of the authors, musicians. Yes, even in ancient American history, there are these people, and no one ever talks about them. That's right. No one talks about the authors, the female people, female leaders or female activists and authors that were during this time. Mainly because the Hispanic or the Southern American and Central American, there's a lot of masculinity to it, which is not a bad thing whatsoever. Masculinity is a very good thing. But there's also a feminine side to history, and people need to know that as well. So we're going to be meshing in everything. We're not just going to be learning about this, hey, look down, there's Mesoamerica, here's one thing that happened, here's another thing that happened, and that's all I'm going to teach you. No. We're going to go down deep and talk about the actual people that are here. Pakal the Great. And there's a lot of other people with some interesting names. Now, the one that I have on here, I'll expand this really quick so I can get the actual name. Pachacuti Inca Yupanqui. Something like that. So some of the names are going to be a little bit interesting, but we will find easier ways of pronouncing that. And we'll also have videos on some of these people. If you go onto our Hunt the Past website, you'll be able to actually listen to these people talk in their own tongue. Now, as you know, with your membership of the Historical Conquest Adventure Book, you're also receiving access to Zogos Gaming. Now, it's not done yet. We're still working on it. But we're actually merging Hunt the Past with Zogos. So you'll actually have a program on there where you can go on and listen to the people talk. You'll be able to read about the things about them. Like individually, you can learn about these people. Now, the curriculum, we do some where we actually learn about the people, but we don't do a lot. The videos and Hunt the Past is a great way of getting to know these people as individuals. And so you'll actually be able to go on that site and be able to see more information, watch more videos, things like that. So we're really excited to show you those things. But as of right now, we're finishing that up. That will be available, just not yet. Okay, so another thing that I wanted to show you is this. Now, actually, that's not the one I wanted to show you. It's that one. That's Machu Picchu. That's our illustration of Machu Picchu. Machu Picchu is in the top of a very high mountain. And so we're going to actually climb the trails up to Machu Picchu. We're going to be able to walk inside the houses of Machu Picchu. So this is some of the great things that we're going to be doing because of this podcast and curriculum. And one last one, the one I'm really excited about is, oops, sorry about that. This is, take a hint, take a guess. What would this be? You're seeing people mixing things. You see people putting, I'll tell you what, that's limestone or ash. That's aggregate, meaning small rocks. And it's creating this big mound of some sort of like liquidy solid substance. You know, that liquidy kind of substance actually made a lot of these. Yeah, that's concrete. That's before the Romans, where people thought concrete was first made. Isn't that cool? Now, most history curriculums will not actually tell you about that. We will talk to you about crossing the Bering Straits, the land bridge that used to be covered by ice during the Ice Age, how the Native Americans came down and were able to settle a lot of North America. But did you ever wonder how there was a lot of people there? Could there have been people that came from other lands through, say, the sea? Actually, there are theories by archaeologists right now about that. So we'll go a little bit into that as well. We're going to be bringing in a lot of different things. We're so excited for you to hear about these things. We're going to be talking about not just the history of these people, we're even going to get down to the DNA of these people. It's so cool. All the things that we have. This curriculum is amazing. I wish I had this curriculum when I was in high school, in the public schools. I didn't. But I'm bringing this to you. So my historians, my contractors that are helping out with illustrations and things like that, we're so excited to bring this to you. So this is just a snippet of some of the things that you have in store when you listen to the Historical Conquest Adventure Box podcast. So again, there will be 2 different ones. If you want to learn about ancient American history, great. We have days for those. If you want to learn about American history, great. We have days for those. There's going to be 2 for each week. So there's only 4 podcasts each week, unless we want to do a bonus podcast on Friday. But again, American history is going to be Monday and also Wednesday. And then ancient history is going to be Tuesday and then Thursday. But before we get to that point, when we actually split off, we're actually going to be meeting together. And the reason why I'm doing that, again, is because I'm going to show you how this podcast and this curriculum works. And we're going to do the first one all together. And again, the reason why we're doing this all together is because I don't want to go over the same things twice. I want to be able to share with you a lot of the things of how to maneuver through these this curriculum. But we're going to work through all these things. We're going to be doing this together. Now, one of the things I wanted to share with you is actually something I will bring up later on. But I think this is so very interesting, so intriguing, and something that you might want to think about in the future to work with your parents to try out. So let me preface this a little bit. Okay, recently, and then I'll go backwards. Recently, my mother decided that she was going to do a DNA test. She wanted to do a DNA test because she wanted to see where her heritage was. And so when she did this DNA test, it was in the ancestry.com or .org.com test. They actually did this test to come to find out that she actually had most of her ancestors from Europe. Actually, most of them were from the UK, and not just the UK, but those lands that were controlled by the UK. So she had Wales, she had England, she had Ireland, she had Scotland, she had Netherlands, and she had Sweden. But she also had Germany. Now, what's really interesting about this is when she first got the DNA test, Germany didn't show up. But there's also something that's very interesting because those are not all of them. Yes, boom, that was a big portion of it. But then there's 1% that was Native American. Now, again, I said I would go backwards. Native American history is very interesting. Now, most Native Americans will not give their DNA test because they do not like the fact that they are tracked like that. They don't. They have they don't trust the government. They don't trust organizations that would try to record them because of everything that happened in the past. And so, one thing that we've done is actually we went back into the history of our my grandparents. Come to find out, my grandmother had actually written stories, and sorry, not grandmother. My great grandmother had written stories about our ancestors. Now, come to find out, my ancestors, one of her books, talked about Andrew Jackson, President Andrew Jackson, the United States president, a long time ago. Interesting thing, he was actually a huge hero because he stormed into New Orleans and helped them win the war after 1812. So remember the War of 1812? We're going to go over into that. So I'm going to bring in some more of my history back at that point. But Andrew Jackson was actually one of my great-great-great-great-grandfathers. If you know about Andrew Jackson, you will also know that he also was part of the Trail of Tears. Now, the Trail of Tears is where the Cherokee had to leave Georgia, South Carolina, Florida, and be moved out to Oklahoma to a new reservation. Interesting enough, there's a lot more to that story than you could have imagined. Nobody talks about the actual story behind that. And we have a historian to talk about it because they've researched a lot when it comes to that one part. But also what's really interesting is that 1% of ancient America, of Native American that's in me or in my mom, and right now it's 1%, but remember, Native Americans do not like their DNA tested, so there's not much to compare it to. So we actually might have a lot more than that. And supposedly, we have actually a 16th of me should be Native American. So, but that would be like, what, 7%. Now, right now, my mom is showing 1%, but that's, again, because the DNA tests are not fully established. So, going back to the story, My grandmothers, come to find out, great-great-great-grandmothers, were actually Cherokees. When their parents were going across, one of my grandmothers was actually dropped off with a white family, a white European family, because the parents did not know if they were going to make it all the way to Oklahoma, because they walked the whole way. Now, as you know, the pioneers went across to the west. They went to Utah, they went to Arizona, Idaho, they went to Washington, Oregon, California, and a lot of those people died on the trails as well. The Cherokee were actually in worse off places because they left during the winter, and they had other things that were happening with their travels to Oklahoma. Luckily, they were in the south, so it wasn't as bad as if they were in north, but it was still horrible. But so one of my grandmothers was delivered to a white European family, and they took care of the child and raised her. She got married and had grandchildren of their own, I becoming one of their great-great-grandchildren. One of my grandmothers actually made it all the way to Oklahoma, and then later on got married and had grandchildren. And look, I became. We also have one other Native American. I knew it a minute ago, and I think it was Apache. I'm gonna have to double check that. So I thought I knew it, but I will come back to you on that. But it's so great to hear that I am partial Cherokee. It's a great honor for me, and I would love to be known for part of my heritage being Cherokee. And I'm going to bring out a lot of the history as we go. I'll go back just a little bit more. Remember I said that Andrew Jackson, who started the Trail of Tears, or was the president during the Trail of Tears, and I had Cherokee grandmothers. I am the mix of both of those. So yes, I have friends that have history of slavery, African Americans that have African heritage in their blood and are fully American, great people, amazing people, doing great things. I mean, one is an unbelievable programmer, and he is like, jumping around to different. He actually worked for Ancestry at one point, but all over the place. So amazing people doing these things, and yet they also have white heritage, European heritage, merged together. Now, some people have different understandings of this. Some people have different agreements with this. But here's one thing. When Martin Luther King said, I have a dream that it won't matter. And again, I'm butchering it. We will bring his actual speech up and we will listen to it word for word when we get to that point in history. But I have a dream that basically it won't matter the color of your skin. And we've gone back and forth. But it does not matter what your heritage is. You are who you are today because you are who you are today. And that's what your grandparents, your great-great-great-great-grandparents wanted you to. They wanted you to come to be in America and be everything that you could be. That's another part of this history that we're going to give you. You can be from any heritage. You can come from Asia, Africa, Europe, Australia. Doesn't matter. Native American. And you can make it in this life. History is about learning from the past. Learning about the atrocities, the horrible things that happened in the past. Learning from them, growing from them, and becoming better. Becoming more than what your grandparents, what your parents ever thought you could be. This is why we come here today. This is why I do what I do. Because it does not matter your heritage. It does not matter what the past is. You control your future. We're going to help you with that. And learning from the past, the things we do not want to repeat in the future. And we will also, this is an interesting one, on certain days, we'll actually give you events that are happening in current day, and we will give you what happened in the past and how, when you look at them, they're the same lessons being taught. Might be a little bit different instances. They say that history repeats itself. Now, some people have changed that to history does not repeat itself, but it does rhyme. It does echo. It does all these different things. That's right. It's not the exact same history. We're never going to have Romans taking over the world again, or taking over the known world, most of the known world, at least in the Europe and Africa and Asia sections, parts of Asia. But it does rhyme. And we will go through a lot of the same falls that they go through, and we will talk about it. And then I'll let you make that final understanding, that final decision of what you think of it. And that's what this curriculum is all about. We're not here to tell you how to feel, what to think, what something means. We're going to give you the information so you can make the choice. And so you can become better than you've ever thought you could become, so that you can understand things better than anyone else out there. We're going to have fun with this. This is going to be amazing. Can't wait to share it more with you. So I'm going to end it here. There is so much more to do. I just wanted to make sure that you know that we are here for you. If you have questions while you're on in this curriculum, any questions, or you think that something needs to be changed, great, send it our way. Email us, zach@historicalconquest.com. That's my business personal email. Email us. Or email our office. We will not be changing it. It's historicalconquest@gmail.com. Yeah, we still kept a Gmail account because that's what we've always had. And I want people that have had our email address to be able to continue to have our email address. We want you to be part of this experience. If you have suggestions, please tell us. If you have questions, we'll even answer them on the screen. We'll read them out so others that might have the same question, and we will do the research for you. Unlike some of the videos that I've done in the past where I don't read until I get on the screen, these ones I'll read and research. And if I need to bring on a specialist, I'll bring on a specialist to talk to you through what your question is, the answer to your question. So have fun. Be part of history. Engage with it. History is the most amazing class if it's taught the right way. And everyone's different. So if there's a suggestion you have, because we're not touching the way that you think that you learn best, let us know. We want to know, and our curriculum will become better than it's ever been. So thanks for joining me on this Historical Conquest Adventure Box podcast, and we will catch you next time. Take care and have an amazing day. Learn from history, grow from it, become more than you've ever become before. And that's what we'll do here. Take care.